First of all, we've been discussing this all morning. Should Geoffrey Boycott, who was convicted of domestic abuse, have received a knighthood? Theresa May has given him the title in her exit honours list. This has caused a welter of controversy. Spice Girl Melanie Brown, known as Mel B, of course, tweeted that the former England cricket star was, and I quote, a disgrace to Yorkshire. The man himself said he believed most people in this country thought it wasn't true anyway.
It's a cross I have to bear, right or wrong, good or bad. I have to live with it, and I do, because I'm clear in my mind, and I think most people in England are, that it's not true.
Although the chief executive of Women's Aid has said celebrating a man...
I don't care a toss about her, love. It's 25 years ago, so you can take your political nature and do whatever you want with it. You want to talk to me about my knighthood, it's very nice of you to have me, but I couldn't give a toss.
The way he called her love, that's Martha Kearney, one of our most distinguished broadcasters, the way he called her love, the way he interrupted her to the point that she couldn't even carry on with the question, you may think pertains to the gentleman's personality. You may think he's not necessarily a gentleman. On the other hand, you may be a great fan of his cricket. You may think he's one of the greatest cricketers of all time anywhere in the world, and he deserves the honour. You may think that the Prime Minister has these honours in her gift. That is the correct phrase for it. They are in her gift. In other words, she is empowered to choose for whom she selects an honour, and who she chooses to ennoble is up to her. And if she chooses him, he's her sporting hero, then that is a matter for her. As far as the conviction for beating up his girlfriend is concerned, he was found guilty of it. He was given a 3-month suspended sentence. He tried to appeal it. The appeal was thrown out of court by a French judge. So, you know, the records show he's guilty of having beaten her up, and the pictures of her face remain, and they're in all the papers today. You see both badly beaten up eyes, black and blue, and her face all puffy and swollen and bashed in. He said she fell over. The French judge said nonsense, though her injuries were not at all conversant with somebody who'd had fallen over, not at all. All right, so that's the story. Let's talk about it to Natalie Collins, founder of the domestic abuse consultancy firm Spark. Hello, Natalie.
Hello.
So it's going to be Sir Geoffrey Boycott. The Prime Minister has chosen him. She didn't have to, but she's chosen to. What do you make of this?
Well, I think absolutely it's within her gift to choose who she wants to honour. But as somebody who has said that domestic violence policy and preventing domestic violence and working to create a country where it's not acceptable, within her role as Prime Minister and previous to that at the Home Office, for somebody who has this position of saying this is important to her, for her to honour somebody with this history, leaves us with some doubt about how seriously she takes domestic violence if she's going to honour a convicted perpetrator of domestic violence.
Well, I suppose you know what I'm going to say next, and that is she's not honouring him for domestic violence. She's not saying, and this perpetrator of domestic violence is being honoured for his brutal treatment of a girlfriend. That's not what she's doing, is she? She's honouring him for his sporting contribution, and I suppose you could say that cannot be denied.
Well, it can, but I suppose an honour, it's not only, oh, well, he wasn't a great cricketer, that he gets to be called Sir all the time, not just when it's about his cricket things, that we have a holistic understanding of a human being. And when we honour them, they are given a valuing by society, which says this increases your status, this increases your value in society. And so to do that to somebody who has this history, who's been convicted of essentially punching his girlfriend in the face 20 times after pinning her down, that's problematic. And even his response to the criticisms of this just show that he's not somebody who should be honoured, that when he's asked about this, there's no kind of recognition that overall we should take domestic violence seriously. His dismissal of the CEO of a domestic abuse charity of Women's Aid is appalling. She's an expert in domestic violence, and to dismiss her in that way is unacceptable as well.
I suppose, on the other hand, don't we believe in this country in redemption? Don't we believe that we punish the crime, and that when the time has been served or the penalty paid, everybody deserves a fresh start? Everybody deserves to have effectively erased the legacy of that crime by having served the time and paid the penalty. So we don't believe, do we, that you carry on saying for the rest of somebody's life that they are a fraudster or a domestic abuser, do we? I think we think they're convicted, they're found guilty, they're punished, they're shamed publicly, and then they have decades to make reparations or to put it behind them and make sure they don't do it again. And nobody's ever suggested he did it again, or at least not that I've heard.
Well, I think what reparations has he made? He denies that he did it. He accused the woman on radio yesterday of having tried to blackmail him. He says he doesn't give a toss about domestic violence. This isn't somebody who is showing any level of apology or reconciliation or redemption in this. He refuses to accept any responsibility for it. And I think also we do have an understanding that when somebody has served the sentence for a crime, that they should be accepted back into society. But if somebody's been convicted of fraud, they're not going to be employed by a bank. If somebody's been convicted of offences towards children, they're never going to be allowed to work with children again. And if somebody perpetrates domestic violence as a partner, absolutely, they should be able to live free of violence and have their human rights respected. But that doesn't mean that they should be given an honour and referred to as Sir for the rest of their life.
One of the criticisms levelled at Theresa May when she was Prime Minister was that she had an unerring knack for failing to take the temperature of public opinion. So, for example, when she did visit Grenfell, I mean, obviously this rankled with us, particularly here at BBC Radio London, because we had our reporters there. It's only around the corner from where we are. We've been very closely entwined in that story ever since the tragedy happened. And she went to visit, and she didn't get out of the car, and she didn't, she wasn't. I mean, she said she was advised not to for her own safety, but whatever happened, she didn't seem to, emit any real feelings or communicate any proper empathy or sympathy. Do you think that she has shown, again, this unerring knack for not quite getting it? So following Me Too, following Harvey Weinstein and all the revelations, following, a complete change in, we hope anyway, the mood and the tone in which women are regarded and spoken to and everything else, she chooses to honour Jeffrey Boycott. Do you think this yet again shows that she never quite got it or never does?
I think so. I think, she's likened herself to him in a previous speech, hasn't she, around his cricket success and that kind of stuff. And so I think there is this blinkered thing where I would be surprised if it even occurred to her that his domestic violence conviction should be relevant to this, or whether it's even occurred to her that he was a perpetrator of that. And so I think this does represent her whole political career, really, this lack of recognition. And I'm sure I hope she's at home thinking, oh, well, that wasn't a very good idea. It's not really done him any favours, has it, either? Because after having kind of avoided that being the focus of his career for a number of years, it's now become the primary focus, and a whole new generation of people who potentially are much more concerned about this as a result of the Me Too movement, and now aware that he's a perpetrator. And, lots of people, I'm in my 30s and I didn't know that. Lots of people I don't think did. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it's probably done any favours in the long run either, even if he does now get to be called Sir.
Good to talk to you, Natalie. Thank you very much indeed. That's Natalie Collins, founder of a domestic abuse consultancy firm called Spark. She's the author of Out of Control. If you want to talk to us about this, we're ready, willing and able to chat to you about it too. Should Jeffrey Boycott have been honoured in this way forever now? Sir Jeffrey Boycott. Is that wrong, do you think? 0800 731 2000. We'll be straight back with you after the travel.